Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. And big welcome to Case Flower School. And I'm Janette, just for anybody that doesn't know. And we have Deirdre behind camera. So last week I showed you these twig rings, okay? And these came from evergreen silk plants. Remember Charlie? Is he watching today? Is he? So he had some in different colours. It was just that he happened to send me one of these. And I know in another demonstration, or actually last week, I forgot, it was last week, I used the purple one and I've done it as a wall hanging. But I'm going to show you today how these can be used for table arrangements as well, okay? Probably have to bring this one up to the receptionist.
I think we will, yeah.
I think we have to. I think that's what we'll do. People always say to us, what do you do with the arrangements? We normally do nothing with them. We give them to some one maybe crossing the road. So how do you make it into a table arrangement? So what you need is a roll of white, well, I'm using the white gutter tape because I'm using a white twig ring. But listen, you could use the green gutter tape. And I think about 2 weekends ago, I showed using the green gutter tape. Do you remember I was using wiring and taping up the silk artificial flowers, again belong to Charlie. So what I have here are 20 gauge wires, and I'm placing two 20 gauge wires side by side, and I'm taping, say, down to the end. When you get to the end, you snap the tape. And the idea would be to have a few of these done in advance. Now, I have a few done. They're a bit shorter, but they'll be fine, they will. So how you do this is you get two 20 gauge wires, you place them side by side, you start the gutter tape. The gutter tape doesn't feel sticky, okay? My hands are sweating with the pressure this morning, but normally my hands will be cold. And it's the heat of your hands and the pulling of the tape, that's what makes it sticky. So you start at the top of the wire on a slant, tuck it around, and it's kind of like pull and roll, pull and roll. So pull on an angle, roll, but then move your fingers down. So pull on an angle, roll, move down, pull, roll, move down, pull, roll, move down. Go on, Deirdre.
Mary Cameron wants to know, could she be the one crossing the road?
Absolutely. The way I drove, as I hopped into Deirdre's Jeep this morning, this morning, 15 minutes ago or whatever, you know. And of course, Deirdre has longer legs than me. So here I am in the Jeep, and I said, how do I, and we're abandoned on the roundabout, by the way, like not even parked safely. And I'm trying to bring the seat forward. I'm looking for a mask because I ran out of work here, as I said, nothing. I had my phone in my hand. But thank God Deirdre had left her dirty mask. Thank God we drink out the same cup here. So her dirty mask, talking about makeup and all on the inside of it, but was black and was grand. Stuck that on my face, here I am. I get the fucking COVID before I even went to the bloody place. But anyway, we survived. And Deirdre's still, she's walking into work and she's looking at me driving around because our Jeep is only a couple of months old. Me driving around the roundabout on 2 wheels, trying to put on my safety belt, put on the dirty mask, get up to the fucking doctors. Anyway, wasn't it great? Wasn't it brilliant?
It's worth it, absolutely.
It's well worth it.
Alan wants to know, how long does that course last? Module 2, absolutely.
It's a 4-week online program. All our online courses. So module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. They're all 4 weeks, okay? But we normally advise the students to do about 3 hours a day, but some of them will do extra because with some of the tutorials, like the hand-tie tutorial, I always say, watch that at least 3 times before the flowers even arrive. So our students have watched that tutorial at least, well, they were told to 3 times, and it means then today they'll be straight on to the greenery. Now, when I'm teaching hand ties, I normally say to the students, it's like riding a bike. You have stabilizers and your dad is holding the back of the saddle while you learn to get your balance. And then we'll take 1 stabilizer off, and then we'll take 2 stabilizers, and eventually you'll be cycling down that road and daddy will let go of the back of the saddle. And that's how I teach hand ties. A little bit different, but that's how I teach the hand ties to the students.
Jackie Scott said, I've always loved Friday, but never as much since she discovered you lovely ladies. Light-hearted, gorgeous.
And you just don't know what's going to happen. And we don't know what's going to happen.
No, we don't. We didn't know
I didn't know I was getting a vaccination. So what I have here is wires that are gutter tape, and I'm going to just crisscross them basically like an X, okay? And I'm going to twist them, and that's how you make the wires longer. Now, I know if you were watching me maybe before and I'm taping flowers, I may add 1 wire onto the other, but for what I'm like, as I tape them one onto the other to make them longer. But for this today, I need it to be stronger. So what I'm doing, there's no back and front to this twig ring. Now, I'm sure if Charlie is watching, he might post up a few photographs of maybe the rings in the different colors that he happens to have available, okay? Because they come in a gorgeous natural color. And last week I had the lilac one, which was a bit smaller, and you could use the same, you could do the same idea. So what I'm doing is, you can see the way I've hooked the wire on one side of the twig ring. I'm going to bring it over to the opposite side. I'm going to hook it through a bit of the wicker on the opposite side, pulling it tight, okay? So just kind of adjust it around there. There we go. Pull it tight, bring it back, and then I'm going to twist it onto itself, and again, you can just cut off the wire that's left over. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that a few times, okay? So again, I'm getting the two wires, I'm twisting them together. Now this does take a little bit of time, okay? And I'm probably rushing it a little bit here this morning, but you have the general idea, okay? Tape up lots of wires, then at the back of the twig ring on the underneath part, and have them all going in different directions, okay? And you might be saying to yourself, well, what's she going to do? This is how I'm going to, like, it's like putting an arse in the end of the container. This is going to stop the container and the floral foam coming through to the other side. Now, as I said, I had a lot of these wires kind of taped already, so I'm going to cheat and kind of like use a few of them. And again, it's the twisting technique, because if you just tape them together to make them longer, which I know I would have shown you on the module 3 course, but what will happen is when I pull them tight to the opposite side, there's a chance, you see, that I could pull them apart. So it's better to twist them like the way I showed you. Now, yes, the underneath part is going to be a little bit untidy looking, do you know that way? But you're not going to see it, because this is going to be sitting on the table. Can you see it so far? The way I have a couple of wires going across like that. And I probably need a couple more, do you know that way? If you have any questions at all regarding this, not saying I'll be able to answer it because I'm still in a bit of a heap, okay? But just put your questions in the comments there, and we'll definitely try and answer it as much as we can.
And we would love you guys to share this video.
We're forgetting that, yeah, absolutely. Start sharing them there and get the word out, because we're going to have a giveaway. My plan also today was to do a hat box, and depending on how time goes, you know what I mean, that we'll get a hat box arrangement done as well. And we're going to have a giveaway. So the giveaway is going to be the hat box online course, which actually teaches you how to do about 6 different styles of hat box arrangements. So it's an absolutely great prize, okay? And I'll show you kind of a real simple, kind of casual way how to do it. I have a couple of, like, say, kind of like spring, early summer flowers, and I'm just going to do it really casual, something that you can easily copy at home. Go to the supermarket, buy a bunch of flowers, go to your local florist or whatever, and again, you could copy this, no problem. Now, as I said, this is a bit of a rush job, okay? But you can see the way I've kind of put an arse in the end of the twig ring, right? And then what I have is one of the bulb bowls. So the bulb bowls, like, they kind of come like this. Just to save time, I have it organized. These are your bulb bowls, okay? They come in different sizes. Now, I'm using the larger one because the ring I have is a little bit larger. But to be honest, I could have easily used the smaller one. I'm going to use the smaller one in the hat box, okay? So the idea is that this, I have a full block of oasis in it, by the way. So probably 3/4 going across, and the little wedgie pieces, I just used up the leftovers. So that fits down. I hope to God the arse doesn't fall in my pot. Do you see the way one holds the other, right? So you sit your container down into it, and then using more wires, okay, you're then going to strap that in again to secure that in place. Now, some of you might be saying, what about using anchor tape? But anchor tape will strap onto the plastic container, but it won't actually strap onto the twig ring for us, okay? So this is why you're better off using the wires. And again, you'll find, because I've used the white gutted tape, it'll camouflage it neater and tidier. Now again, yes, this is taking a little bit of time, probably longer than I planned to do, but sure, listen, we'll bear with us. If you're getting bored, just go make yourself a cup of tea and come back.
After last week's, most of the wicker wreaths are sold out, Charlie says.
Okay.
There might be a few hidden. He has 40 centimetre straw wreaths and new.
Yeah, you could do this with the straw.
New stock of wicker ones arriving next week. Oh, so that's grand.
That's
give them a chance.
Janette,
Betty in England, she wants to know. She had seen obviously the flower delivery. How does it work for in the UK?
So in the UK, what we do is we get you in contact with our rep. You know that way. We give you the list. You get the exact same list that we have, and then you get in touch with the rep. We used to be able to organise it with the UK, kind of with our own deliveries. But with Brexit, I think what the problem is, the truck can't open. Do you know the way? So when our truck comes from Holland to Ireland, it's not allowed with customs to open in the UK and drop yours off and then continue. So what happens is yours goes on a different truck and it goes direct Holland, UK. But there's not a problem. The students, we have loads of UK students with us at the moment.
While you're doing that, they're all complimenting your setting.
Your setting?
Yeah, as in like the new studio.
The new studio. It's all neat and tidy. As I said, watch this space because you never know. You know how messy I am. I've a bin here beside me today, but you know how messy I am.
Because we have a new floor. She's been warned. She's used.
So there you go. So there it is. Do you see the way it's strapped in? Do you know that way? And again, it looks kind of untidy at the moment, but once I put all the, so just in the center here, we'll just stand up like a small little piece of greenery, and I'll place a little bit of greenery around the outside of it. I don't want them too long around the outside because I don't want to hide the lovely twig ring that we have to start off with. Now, by the way, you don't have to use this twig ring. You'd get away with making this in just the bulb bowl on its own. The only thing is, the bulb bowls are a bit cheap looking. Do you know that way? They're not that expensive anyway. But again, you're paying for what you get. Do you know the way? It's a cheap plastic bowl. But maybe at home, you would have like a nice ceramic container. And if anybody ever has something and they'd like a little bit of advice, just post a photograph in the comments below. You know that way? Because like even later on or even tomorrow, always the girls are kind of going through the comments and they're kind of responding to anybody, because there'll be a lot of people will maybe watch this on the replay. So just place any of your questions in the comments below, and somebody, hopefully somebody anyway, as I said, if we're all still alive tomorrow, if we survive this vaccination, we'll all be on responding to you. What's the vaccination situation around the country anyway? How's everybody else getting on?
I see Eileen Pollard was on and she's getting hers tomorrow.
Brilliant.
What injection did
I
you
got
get?
the Pfizer one, but I didn't, you know, it was in my arm and all. And your one is still looking for my BBS number, and she's asking me, am I a patient? You know what I mean? Like, talk about get me in and get me out as quick as anything. And here I am, yeah, this is me, it's Janette O'Rourke, you know that way. So when it was in my arm and all, like, it was gone and all. And I said, so by the way, what one was it? I couldn't have given a shit which vaccine I got. As I said to your one receptionist, give it to me in the eye at this stage. I just want to get it. I want to get over to Spain. I want life to get back to normal. I'm sick of it well, I'm not sick of it at this stage, but you know what I mean? I'm half sick of it.
Breeding is getting her second one after lunch.
Oh, brilliant.
Lee in the UK, she has got both of hers. Patrick Fagan, she's got her first one on Wednesday. So yeah, so we're hearing more and more people.
These are obviously all the 50s.
And this is it, yeah. John Muldrew wants to know, is it easy enough to spray paint the wicker reach ring if it's
Absolutely. Do it outside. That's the only thing. Like, the spray paint to be very strong, you know that way. So do it outside. Now you can see there with this, I'm doing the same, a bit of greenery going around the outside. I started off with a piece of greenery in the center, and now I'm just going to randomly put a little bit here and there. I'm actually out of the pistachio, but there's more of it in the, it doesn't matter, there's more in that box there. So this is just another type of filler I have. Somebody's going to ask me what it is, and I actually don't know. So Sue Wade is watching. She could maybe enlighten me. What type of foliage is this? It came in like a mixed bunch that I ordered in from Howick Flowers, and I meant to look up her lovely little book and see what variety it was.
Sue is saying, when cutting garden foliage, avoid new growth as it doesn't hold up as well. It's too soft, and she had her jab last week as well.
Brilliant.
Carol is having her second vaccine on Wednesday. Deirdre Lynch on, hi girls, so lovely to join you. Keep up the fun and good luck with the vaccinations.
Brilliant.
How long should foliage last in an arrangement? Maureen wants to know.
Well, really, it depends on the type of foliage. Yeah, that'd be grand. I wish it'd be grand here, Sinead. 7 to 10 days is normally, like, you know, I mean, how long it's going to last. But if you're storing it outside, like normally for the students, I tell them to store their greenery outside. Which to say, like most of our students, that would be the bunch of foliage, well, one of the foliages that we sent out to them. So obviously they'll cut all the elastics. This hasn't been hydrated yet. It has a real thick woody stem, so they need a strong scissors or secateurs. And I would tell them to dunk it in the water and then stand it back up the right way. And if they store the bucket outside in the cold, now I know the weather's not real cold at the moment, okay, but it's better to store this outside. And I say to them every day, but every second day, as often as they can, dunk it in the water and stand it back up the right way. Change the water every couple of days, and you'll be amazed. Like, that could probably last nearly a month outside. But once you bring it into the house and it's indoors in a flower arrangement, it's probably not going to last quite as long.
Mary Quinn says she's got both her vaccines, but you still need the PCR test for Spain.
That's right.
But that's grand.
I don't mind that.
At least we know we'd be safe traveling when we go there.
It's just like getting life back to normal, really, isn't it? You want to come up a little bit higher than that. Go on.
Luann usually wants, she says she has hers, she wants life back to normal. She's a friend of Sinead's.
Hiya, Leanne.
Sue said it looks like an asparagus fall cactus.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
I thought it was a part of that basket. asparagus, you know, that with the one that's real spiky. But
Yeah.
that one was much softer. But I thought that at the beginning, but I just wasn't too sure.
And Sue has agreed to come in and talk to our Bloom studio.
Brilliant.
So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have Sue in to all you guys that are in the Bloom studio. Sue's going to be coming in and spreading her expertise.
It's just amazing, okay? So again, keeping this really, really simple. We have, if you want to call it a number one, you know, a flower standing up in the center. And if you don't have the same flowers as me, just substitute it for whatever you happen to have, okay? And I find for anybody starting off, a good little technique is learn about the 3 around the number 1. So this is the 3 flowers around the number 1. And the sentence I always use to the students is slightly lower, so they're smaller, and they're inserted on an angle. See the way they're kind of like slightly slanted. And the 3 of them create like a triangle around your number 1. Like I was teaching something over hand-tied bouquets there before, and I was saying, like, you need 4 stems of lilies is a good number to start off with. And somebody said in the comments, why would you use 4? It's an even number. You should use an uneven number. But see, I use the 1 in the middle and the 3 around the number 1, and that's how I use 4. So, but you can use like any flowers if you want to. But the scent of these is amazing. And you're going to find all your flower shops that have them, and also the supermarkets, and they're reasonably priced. They last about 7 days, you know, that way. And the scent is just amazing. So 5 to 7 days, to be honest. Like sometimes you don't get the whole week out of them.
Pam Whitcomb has just joined. This is our first time to join us.
Oh, big welcome, Pam. You're a newbie.
So the rules.
If there's any kids, Pam, get them out of the room, because I'm capable of coming out with anything. And just after getting my first vaccine, so I'm still in shock.
The other rule, Pam, is you have to share it.
Yeah, you have to share it. That's it.
Yeah.
So what I've just done there now is I placed 3 more of the stock in between the last 3. So again, it's a sentence I use with the students when I'm teaching them. Place 3 in between the last 3, but down lower. So basically in between them 2 down here, in between them 2 down here, in between them 2 down here. And it's a really easy way, you know what I mean, of kind of dividing things up. And then what will happen is you're left with 3 more. And guess what? If you go 3 in between the last 3 and lower again, and lo and behold, that works out as your 10 stems of your stock, which is how you will have to buy it. I'm just going to cut these a little bit shorter. Cut them on a slant, by the way, and remove any foliage that's near the end. But it's if you're buying it, like say wholesale, that's what you have to buy is 10 stems. And if you go into a flower shop, now they'll probably sell them individually to you, but you can see they'll probably do a deal if you actually bought the 10 stems off them. So there it is. That's all. I'm not finished it, you know what I mean? But that's all that's in that arrangement is 10 stems of stock. And if you wanted to cut them shorter and kept them closer together, and you had a smaller dish, smaller container, whatever, you'd get away with using a lot less. But what we have here, clear off the table, what I have here now is double lisianthus, you know what I mean? And it was just because the twig ring being white, I just thought the lisianthus would be nice for going in and out through it. And I also do have a little bit of gyp as well. Now with the lisianthus, I'm going to use them kind of in sprigs. Sometimes they'll be individual, so I'm going to start off kind of a little bit close there to start off with. Again, I'm trying to keep it casual. I'm trying not to keep going back to the 3 in between the last 3 and then just naturally that ends up what you're doing. So I'm going to cut a few of them and I'll probably place them around the end of it. I try not to measure things, okay? I'm roughly saying keep them the same length, but there will be a couple a little bit shorter and a couple a little bit longer. And that way then it'll be more natural. Look, with one that's broke there, I'll just cut that one off. Actually, listen, don't waste it, just stick it into the arrangement. But what I'm going to do is just kind of go around the bottom of the twig ring or the bottom of our bulbo and just stick kind of a few of them kind of like lightly in there. And some of them, like I said, have 1 or 2 heads on them, and some of them are just single flowers. And I always use the buds, you know, with the lisianthus. Like, don't just go and throw the buds out. The way it is, you pay for everything. Now, the buds on lisianthus don't always open, you know, that way. Like, just some of the buds kind of like stay really kind of small and tight like that. But often the customer is absolutely delighted because 3 weeks later, they're still waiting on the buds to open. And they're probably never going to open. They probably die closed. Now, some of them do open, you know what I mean? But the real tight ones normally don't.
Holly, Holly from Yorkshire in the UK, Janette, said that she finds you gypsophilia, tangles. Have you any tips for it not
shaking
snapping?
It when you're shaking, and I'll show you because I have a couple of stems here. Now, the stems that I have, normally if I'm using gyp with our students, I explained to them the way you can buy jip in by the weight, and we normally buy in a 30-gram jip, you know, that way. So it'll be a lot heavier and it'll tangle up. And I'd say that's what your problem is. You're probably buying the heavier grade, which is great, by the way. Nothing wrong with buying the heavier grade, but you'll find that it tangles up more. Now, the jip that I have, it kind of came in what I ordered from Howick this week was what they call like their mixed bouquet boxes, you know, the way where you can get 10 little mini bouquets out of a selection of flowers. And it's a little bit like a lucky dip, you know, that way you're just kind of like sent out, and when you open the box, well, to be honest, you kind of know what's going to be in the box because it's up on the website. But it is a little bit of a lucky dip, and it's great for anyone starting off or anybody that's doing these kind of like mixed bunches, because it gives you a little bit of everything. You don't get a full bunch, okay? So there was a bit of jip in it, which is what I'm going to use, but there was only 10 stems, and I'd say it was probably about 10 gram. It was really, really light jip, but listen, it'll do what I wanted to do, and for anybody that was just making mixed bunches, it would have been ideal for them as well.
Our cousin Margaret Sherlock down in Mayo is watching.
Hiya, cousin Margaret Sherlock, how are you? And you know what, I was only thinking of your son the other day. Can't think what his name is. I should know he's my cousin as well. He works in the garden centre, and he was asking us to collaborate with the garden centre. So just tell him to get back in touch with us again. Absolutely, we'd love it, because we love the garden centres when you can kind of, like, when it comes to like the plants. Do you remember like Mylan's garden centre, and she sent the silver Sussex out for the silver Sussex. I know my sister Sinead was laughing when I keep calling it silver Sussex. I've renamed it because the proper name for it is Sussex Silver. But sure, for years I've called it Silver Sussex. I advertise it here as Silver Sussex, and all the garden centres are all up to their eyes looking for Silver Sussex.
Who else was on?
So again, you can see I'm just turning it around, and I'm just randomly adding in the flowers. So I have 10 stems of lisianthus. So these would be good stems of lisianthus, but just other flowers that you could substitute it for would be even the baby carnations. Now the lisianthus looks fabulous with the stock, and it probably does look a little bit wedney looking, doesn't it? You know the way,
gorgeous,
but just keeping it very natural, you know the way, just like not trying to be too regimental. Sometimes I find as a commercial florist, I am inclined to be a little bit regimental, do you know the way? Because it's what I do. I'm teaching and I'm correcting all the time. And when it comes to something like this that's a little bit more informal, I nearly have to say to myself, Janette, loosen up a little bit. Don't be so tight, you know the way. Don't be so rigid. Don't be so exact. But I think like for any of you like starting off at home, this would be an ideal arrangement. And again, it's a way of using up them twig rings that you might have, you know that way, but just doing it slightly different. And I think Joan's suggestion of spraying it is an absolute great idea. It is.
Absolutely. Louise wants to know, is there any places left for module 1 in June?
There is, and I think there's 7 funded places
left. He actually added a few more.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
right. So there could be a few more.
Yeah.
Just check with them, okay? And the funded places are for the Skill Nets grant, okay? So the Skill Nets grant, that's where they pay 25% towards your course. So instead of you paying €800 for the Module 1 online program, you pay 600. And it's not like it's a grant that you have to apply for. You basically get upfront. So to me, it's kind of more, I'd call it a discount, you know that way, though they don't call it a discount. And the idea of the Skill Nets grant is for people who are employed already, but employed could be 2 hours a week, like you're employed, and you're looking to upskill. You want to learn a new skill, whether it's to become a florist or you're in a garden centre. And just for the girl that was asking about the jip, now this has probably been loosened up already, but that's the idea. When you're separating it, hold it upside down and shake it. Now you can see these are really small stems that's in this one. Okay, that one's a bit bigger. Do you know the way? That's because it was sent out as the lighter quality jip, you know the way. But that's how you do it. Just you hold it upside down and you shake it. And just for your own record, jip lasts longer if you keep it in plastic. It actually likes the kind of humidity, sweaty atmosphere. Now you don't leave it indefinitely in the plastic, you know that way. But also it likes to be kind of kept moist, so kept sprayed. To be honest, I think this was as nice, maybe nicer without the jip in it. But you listen, I started now, so I'm going to put it in.
Darlene is watching from Pennsylvania, and they're all vaccinated. She says things is getting back to normal, and she's just getting ready so you can work so early in the morning. Okay, Margaret Huddleston, love the demos, got the second job. Hope by August we get to meet some of you. Send posts to you, please mark red in your class. Click on Rowan Hill Alpaca. She has 2 acres of sunflower seeds. So we can't wait to see some of those.
So she sent it to us in an email, is it?
I have a look at them and see, I'm not sure, yeah.
Brilliant, fair play to you.
But yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm dying to see.
Do you remember last year? I can't think of the girl's name. When you say it'll come back to me, and she arrived with the sunflower. So there was a sunflower farm here in Ireland, and she had went and she picked loads of them, and she actually brought them down to school to us, and then we used them in one of the demonstrations.
It was picked them for cancer or something.
That's right. It was picked them for cancer, yeah. And you could just make a donation then.
That's right. Yeah.
Can't remember what. I can see the girl because I had to run across the road to get them off her in the car. You know that way. Not that we should have been doing that, meeting up with anybody. And definitely, it was a Margaret looking for the party. We'll definitely be having a party and get together.
Yeah.
Deirdre reckons we might have to book the RDS. The amount of people that's looking to come to the party, and the meet up and the crack and the fun. And I see even like the girl over in Durham, Sarah Jane, is it?
Yeah.
She's booking her flights and she's getting her passport renewed and the whole lot. You know what I mean? So listen, it's guaranteed to be great crack. You know that way. So once we have a few drinks. Should we be all flying and we'd be all vaccinated at that stage and be brilliant. So there amazing, you go. Yeah. So there's just a simple table arrangement in one of them rings. I hope you can see the ring underneath.
Yeah.
In one of your twig rings, and something that you can copy at home yourself.